From this video, you will get tips to prepare for SC-200 Microsoft Security Operations Analyst exam and share free practice exam to test online. Audience Profile SC-200 Exam. Responsibilities of a Security Operations Analyst. Required skills and knowledge. Skills measured. Exam preparation for South Carolina 200. One. You need to recommend a solution to meet the technical requirements for the Azure virtual machines. What should you include in the recommendation? A. Just-in-time, JIT, access. B. Azure Defender. C. Azure Firewall. D. Azure Application Gateway. Answer: B. 2. You need to implement the Azure Information Protection requirements. What should you configure first? A. Device Health and Compliance Reports settings in Microsoft Defender Security Center. B. Scanner clusters in Azure Information Protection from the Azure portal. C. Content scan jobs in Azure Information Protection from the Azure portal. D. Advanced features from settings in Microsoft Defender Security Center. Answer: D. 3. You use Azure Sentinel. You need to use a built-in role to provide a security analyst with the ability to edit the queries of custom Azure Sentinel workbooks. The solution must use the principle of least privilege. Which role should you assign to the analyst? A. Azure Sentinel Contributor. B. Security Administrator. C. Azure Sentinel Responder. D. Logic App Contributor. Answer: C. 4. You have a third-party security information and event management (SIEM) solution. You need to ensure that the SIEM solution can generate alerts for Azure Active Directory, Azure AD, sign events in near real time. What should you do to route events to the SIEM solution? A. Create an Azure Sentinel workspace that has a security events connector. B. Configure the diagnostics settings in Azure AD to stream to an event hub. C. Create an Azure Sentinel workspace that has an Azure Active Directory connector. D. Configure the diagnostics settings in Azure AD to archive to a storage account. Answer: B. 5. You create an Azure subscription. You enable Azure Defender for the subscription. You need to use Azure Defender to protect on-premises computers. What should you do on the on-premises computers? A. Install the Log Analytics agent. B. Install the Dependency agent. C. Configure the Hybrid Runbook Worker role. D. Install the Connected Machine agent. Answer: A. 6. You are responsible for responding to Azure Defender for Key Vault alerts. During an investigation of an alert, you discover unauthorized attempts to access a key vault from a Tor exit node. What should you configure to mitigate the threat? A. Key vault firewalls and virtual networks. B. Azure Active Directory, Azure AD, permissions. C. Role-based access control, RBAC, for the key vault. D. The access policy settings of the key vault. Answer: A. 7. Your company uses Azure Sentinel. A new security analyst reports that she cannot assign and dismiss incidents in Azure Sentinel. You need to resolve the issue for the analyst. The solution must use the principle of least privilege. Which role should you assign to the analyst? A. Azure Sentinel Responder. B. Logic App Contributor. C. Azure Sentinel Contributor. D. Azure Sentinel Reader. Answer: A. 8. You receive an alert from Azure Defender for Key Vault. You discover that the alert is generated from multiple suspicious IP addresses. You need to reduce the potential of Key Vault secrets being leaked while you investigate the issue. The solution must be implemented as soon as possible and must minimize the impact on legitimate users. What should you do first? A. Modify the access control settings for the Key Vault. B. Enable the Key Vault firewall. C. Create an application security group. D. Modify the access policy for the Key Vault. Answer: B. 9. Your company uses Azure Security Center and Azure Defender. The security operations team at the company informs you that it does not receive email notifications for security alerts. What should you configure in Security Center to enable the email notifications? A. Security Solutions. B. Security Policy. C. Pricing and Settings. D. Security Alerts. E. Azure Defender. Answer: C. 10. You have an existing Azure Logic app that is used to block Azure Active Directory, Azure AD, users. The Logic app is triggered manually. You deploy Azure Sentinel. You need to use the existing Logic app as a playbook in Azure Sentinel. What should you do first? A. And a new scheduled query rule. B. Add a data connector to Azure Sentinel. C. Configure a custom threat intelligence connector in Azure Sentinel. D. Modify the trigger in the Logic app. Answer: D. Subscribe and like past question.